Hello, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Chameleon, and in this series, I share unpopular opinions of mine on movies, TV shows, and games. So, with that, today, in my opinion, I believe that the 1995 version of Mortal Kombat is better than the 2021 version. Now, I'm not trying to tell you this as a fact, nor am I trying to change your mind. All I ask is that you hear me out. I annoyingly would butcher a lot of the names of the cast in these movies, so for the most part, I'm going to be referring to them as their character name. Story. The 1995 version of Mortal Kombat has a much more fleshed out story compared to the 2021 release. Mortal Kombat 95 also had multiple protagonists, with Johnny Cage, Liu Kang, and Sonya Blade. This brought interesting elements to the story and a much more exciting way to experience the good versus evil trope. The 2021 version of the film has only one protagonist, Cole, and he was far less exciting to watch. Cole is the relative of Hanzo Hasashi, Scorpion, which is why he bears the marking of the chosen warrior for Mortal Kombat. Cole is boring and bland. There's really not much to get excited about. While it isn't really explained how warriors are chosen for Mortal Kombat, it makes little to no sense that a relative of a ninja warrior that lived 500 years before would suddenly become the most important person in the Earth realm, destined to save the planet from evil. Yes, they go into some prophecy nonsense and things, but realistically, Cole is losing to second-rate fighters in cage fights, so he's really not giving the audience any reason to support him. Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I mean, just saying those words fills you with excitement and anticipation. These two are the foundation for everything relating to Mortal Kombat. I mean, everyone knows who they are. If the new movie had focused a little more on these two, rather than bringing in a brand new protagonist that nobody knows, Mortal Kombat 21 could have been leaps and bounds ahead of the 1995 film. Characters. Anyone who's picked up a fighting game will tell you it's all about finding a character or two that you like and then training up with them. One could argue that the 95 version had an advantage of primarily adapting the original 1992 arcade game with its limited collection of playable characters. Meaning, the movie's lineup easily focused on three heroes mentioned earlier: Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade. Meanwhile, the movie divided its villain screen time between the sorcerer Shang Tsung and Shang Tsung's minions, who were essentially glorified henchmen with individual gimmicks. Fan favorites Scorpion and Sub-Zero are present in the 95 movie, with much more colourful and game-accurate costumes. They aren't quite the same formidable force that we see them as in the 21 movie, as they are dispatched by heroes Liu Kang and Johnny Cage relatively easily. Meanwhile, Kano is more of a classic 90s comic relief bad guy who Sonya kills after Kano pleads, "Give me a break," whilst his head is pinned between her thighs. Sonya, naturally, creeps back, "Okay," before snapping his neck. However, I will say 2021's Kano, mwah, chef kiss. He potentially saved that entire movie for me. In the 21 version, there are even more villains, most of whom amount to glorified cameos, including Mileena, Natara, and Kabal. However, they all seem to be dispatched easier than Sub-Zero and Scorpion were in the 95 film. At least the 90s ninjas each got a few minutes to show off before being dispatched. Even the main villain of the 2021 film, the new Shang Tsung, is fairly underwhelming to say the least. He was just left with bland dialogue, and he's never allowed to dominate the scenes the way Shang Tsung did so gleefully back in the day. Unfortunately, this is because the 2021 film has so many characters that it lacks any sense of narrative focus or cohesion. Cole's arc of wanting to learn his power to defend his family is a broad and serviceable hook, just like 95's Liu Kang wanting to avenge the murder of his brother. But Cole gets lost in the shuffle after the first act, and then nothing really happens until the movie's ending. Even though Scorpion disappears for nearly all of the movie's runtime after the movie's terrific opening 10 minutes, the actors portraying Scorpion and Sub-Zero had such presence and strong chemistry that the opening leaves you waiting for the rest of the movie from Scorpion's revenge. Shang Tsung is just another guy in this movie. Sub-Zero is the real villain, and his death scene is incredibly satisfying as a result. However, I still feel like the build-up could have been much better if the previously mentioned wasn't all over the place. As for Goro, no, I'm not doing Goro, no. No, he was perfect in 95, 21, no. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Martial arts. The Mortal Kombat movies are based on a video game whose claim to fame shows off the bloodiest and most brutal killing techniques you can think of. Naturally, you will need your actors to look like warriors that must face supernatural opponents in a fight to the death. This, however, is where things get a little tricky from a movie making perspective. Is it better to have actors who know nothing about martial arts, or martial artists who know nothing about acting? Well, the answer is neither of those if you can help it. The actors who portray Sub-Zero and Scorpion in Mortal Kombat 21 both have a background in martial arts, so they'd know a thing or two about the fight choreography requirements to make a fight look real for the audience. On top of that, they can also act. The casting for Mortal Kombat 95 isn't as straightforward. The actor who portrayed Liu Kang was a martial artist before becoming an actor. The actor who portrayed Johnny Cage started learning martial arts at the age of 19 and continued to do so on and off throughout his career. In a short side note, I did really enjoy the use of accurate fatalities in the 21's version. Both movies lucked out in terms of the caliber of actors chosen for these roles. And at the end of the day, as much as I hate to say it, they're both still far better than either live-action Tekken movie. And when it comes to games, I prefer Tekken over Mortal Kombat, but that's another video. We'll come back to that another day. Villains. The main villain of both films is clarified early on, and in both instances, the main antagonist of the movie is Shang Tsung. His pursuit of power led him to Shao Kahn, the leader of the Outworld, who promised to give him more power if he joined his ranks. The character of Shang Tsung is an important one because of what he represents in both the games and the movies. But it all comes down to who portrayed him best. 95's Shang Tsung embodies the cruelty and malice of the sorcerer from the video games superbly. He also has a certain charisma that doesn't seem to be there in the 2021's iteration. Again, in the 95 version, Shang Tsung had a lot more presence on screen as well, and he really made you feel concerned for all the warriors who had to face him. And in my opinion, that's all down to the talent of the actor in this role. Both films had highly anticipated build-up to Goro. And no, we've been through this. Yeah, I know it's in the script. I know it's there. It's there. I'm not reading it because 1995, he was perfect. His build-up, the presence, the fights, showing he's undefeated. Perfect. Amazing. 2021, we heard about him. He then got beaten by an unknown protagonist. What? Why? It's Goro. He's undefeated. What? I'm just cutting the section out, not doing it. Where were we? Soundtrack. The soundtrack for a movie is one important element that is overlooked too often. The music in a film can make or break it. Just before writing this section, I listened to the original theme song again. Its beat, the rhythm, it's just unmistakable. It is the finishing touch to that perfect final blow. It's the music representing the battle to come. Soundtrack for Mortal Kombat 21 wasn't bad, but meh. Ultimately, the 1995 version of Mortal Kombat being better than the 2021 version is just my opinion. And at the end of the day, that's all that is. It's just my opinion. It's not fact. Regardless of whether your opinion aligns with mine or vastly differs, I'd love to hear about it down in the comments below. Tell me your thoughts. What do you prefer? What are the ups and downs? What have I missed? Let me know. In the description, I've got links to my Twitch and my Discord, where you can join in all things going on those two locations as well. But for now, I'm gonna leave this here because I've got a couple of much bigger topics, at least for me, coming up, and I need more than my 2-week standard gap to do these. So I need to get a wriggle on. But for now, thank you so much for clicking the video in the first place. Thanks for sharing your thoughts down below if you have. If you did like the video, like, share, and subscribe. But most importantly, regardless of whether you do any of the previously mentioned or not, thank you for hearing me out.